Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. All right, everyone. Today, our podcast called 1995, The Cup That United a Nation. So let's get into it. It was June 22nd, 1995. Johannesburg. The night before one of the biggest rugby matches in history. The New Zealand All Blacks. Not just a team, but a global powerhouse. We're preparing for the World Cup final, when everything flipped upside down.
At 7 p.m., players suddenly collapsed. Violent vomiting, fever, weakness, chaos. 2/3 of the team was down due to food poisoning. Inserted clip.
This wasn't just a sports story anymore. This became political, emotional, symbolic. The world asked, was the match compromised? And what did this mean for South Africa's brand new democracy?
This is the story of how a single rugby match became a symbol of unity, identity, transformation, and controversy.
Okay, let's rewind. South Africa in 1995 was only 1 year removed from apartheid, the racist system that segregated every part of society. The country had been banned from most international sports. Rugby especially became a symbol of white nationalism.
And for white South Africans, especially Afrikaners, a group of predominantly Dutch settlers, rugby wasn't just a game. It was pride, tradition, and cultural identity. For black South Africans, it symbolized exclusion and oppression. Stadiums themselves were reminders of political power.
And then came 1994. Nelson Mandela became the first black president. A new constitution, a new flag, a new era. But unity? That was still fragile. There were protests, mistrust, and decades of trauma that couldn't be erased overnight.
Mandela knew the 1995 Rugby World Cup could be more than a tournament. It could be a stage to show the world and South Africans themselves that unity was possible.
Here's a part of Mandela's opening speech.
Salute Bell, guests of honor, players and supporters, for the next 30 days, youth from the world's leading rugby nations will be displaying the finesse of a sport that provides entertainment and touches the hearts of hundreds of millions across the globe. Your presence in South Africa affirms the unity in diversity and the humanity in healthy contest that our young democracy has come to symbolize. On behalf of our Rainbow Nation, I welcome you all. We extend our hands across the miles to all rugby lovers who will be among us in spirit during this exciting period. South Africa keenly appreciates your love and support, and we are grateful for the International Rugby Board's decision to hold this tournament here. It adds impetus to our own sports development programs and indeed to our nation-building effort. From the first kickoff, we are certain to witness rugby of an exceptional standard. Through it, we shall also contribute to the promotion of excellence, world peace and friendship. South Africa opens its arms and its heart to embrace you all. It is my privilege to declare this, the 1995 Rugby World Cup Tournament, open.
This wasn't accidental. Mandela was using rugby, yes, rugby, as a tool for nation building.
Mandela saw the Springboks as a bridge. He famously learned players' names, their stats, even met the team. He was building trust where none existed.
On the other side was Francois Pienaar, the Springbok captain. Symbolically white, an Afrikaner, he grew up privileged, but he embraced Mandela's vision. Their partnership became legendary.
Then we have Chester Williams, the only black Springbok player. His presence alone spoke volumes. Millions of black South Africans saw themselves represented in a sport they had been excluded from previously.
And don't forget the All Blacks, dominant, feared, and with Jonah Lomu, a global superstar. Then suddenly, sick, exhausted, and emotionally shaken, Their struggle shapes the ethics and controversy of this story.
South Africa wasn't expected to win. They were newly reintegrated after the apartheid ban. They had little international play experience. Many critics argued the team was overrated.
But this wasn't just a sport. It was about proving that South Africa was no longer defined by division.
For Black South Africans, the Springboks were historically a symbol of apartheid. Many didn't support the team until Mandela asked them to.
The All Blacks' sudden illness changed everything. Were they deliberately poisoned? Was it sabotage? This debate still rages today.
Some say the illness was accidental. Others claim organized sabotage. Some All Blacks players still insist something suspicious happened.
Whether planned or not, the controversy made the stakes even higher. A sick All Blacks team, a hungry Springboks team, and a world watching history unfold.
Before we get to the final match, we wanted to bring in someone who understands rugby pressure firsthand.
I'm super excited to bring in my coach at the University of Michigan, Linda Thwalo, to join us on the podcast. Linda was born in South Africa shortly before the World Cup. He grew up playing at all levels of the game and got to see the impact of the win against the All Blacks. Coach, it's great to have you join us on the podcast. If you don't mind, could you give us a little on your background? Where do you grow up? How long have you been playing rugby? What rugby levels have you played at?
Hi, my name is Linda Thwalo, born and raised in Durban, South Africa, in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm the last born out of 4 kids, 2 sisters and a brother. In South African terms, I started playing rugby late. I was 13, so this would have been my first year of high school, which is 8th grade for us. Before that, primarily, my first sport was soccer. So when I started playing rugby, I quickly got noticed and I got a scholarship to attend one of the top rugby schools in the province at the time, George Campbell Technical High School. After school, I played for one of the top amateur clubs in the country at the time, Durban Collegians, from 2013 to 2015, before being selected to join the Sharks 2015-2016 for the under-21 Currie Cup squad. For 2 years, I was in that squad, which was my first professional team and professional experience. After the Sharks, I got a senior contract at Boland Cavaliers in the Western Cape, where I got caps in the Currie Cup First Division and Currie Cup Premier Division. After 2 seasons, which was in 2017 and 2018 at Boland, I moved to Italy, where I played for Rugby Sandona in the province of Venezia, which would have been 2018 and 2020, which was in the country's premier domestic competition. For 3 seasons, I stayed there before moving to Verona, another top team in the domestic league, where I played for another 3 seasons, which was 2020 and 2023.
Seems like you played a lot of rugby and grew up at a very interesting time in South Africa. We're wondering how your experience changed as you grew up during the Mandela era.
So to say, I was born in 1994, and that's exactly when South Africa voted in the new democracy and abolished apartheid, which its effect lasted longer after the new democracy was ushered in. By the time Mandela was president, I was just becoming socially aware of my surrounding and the political dynamics of South Africa. For me personally, I grew up in an integrated environment where cultures, religions, race, politics all intertwined. Mandela's message of unity and Rainbow Nation really resonated with us younger people because it was actually our experience at the time, where it was a bit of a different for our older siblings and parents, which till today politically you see and experience that.
For most of us, we were born directly following 9/11. We never experienced the pre-9/11 world. However, our parents frequently talk about how things like airports were before the event. For you, you were born almost immediately as Mandela came to power. Do your parents ever talk about the change from when he came to power, and what did they say?
Generally, South African history in my family has never been told as a sad period, as tough as it was for most Black South Africans and some of my family members. But it is told as a moment to reflect on how much socially things have changed and the environment we're in now. Being able to vote for your own future is one key point that my family highlights as something to celebrate Mandela for, beyond his big heart and his tone and the way he pretty much encourages forgiveness and looking beyond just your general experience.
And coach, do you think a sporting event today could have the same unifying effect that the 1995 World Cup had? Why or why not?
I would say when it comes to sport, 1995 World Cup did not only unify a country but played a political role in bringing people who had different political views under one flag. And bear in mind, our history for us was always at the forefront on anything that we do as a country. The Springboks, our rugby team, continues to play that role today, bringing people from different walks of life, religion, race, culture, and more together. So it is a big yes for me if you had to ask if sport has a magnitude of bringing people together, or any sporting event rather. I would say it would have the same impact, not only in South Africa but throughout. Till today, we see how people like sporting event to be sort of like beacon of anything that they pretty much are activists for. So I would say a sporting event would definitely have the same impact, and it does continue to have the same impact in South Africa.
Coach, I want to thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Thank you so much for being here.
In the days leading up to the final, the atmosphere in South Africa was electric. People who had never spoken about rugby before were now talking about the game and only the game. Black and white fans were watching together at bars, schools, community centers, and more.
Stores were selling Springbok jerseys everywhere, even in townships where rugby used to be hated. Mandela's number 6, the same jersey that Francis Pinwar wore, became a symbol of hope.
And in the background, international media descended on South Africa. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, they all framed this as a test of democracy.
This wasn't just about rugby anymore. It was about identity.
And that brings us to the match. June 24th, 1995. Ellis Park Stadium. The crowd roars and then falls silent when Mandela appears wearing Pinwar's green Springbok jersey.
This moment became one of the most powerful images in modern history, a black president wearing the colors once used to exclude people like him. The stadium broke into Mandela chants. Many players reflected on this powerful moment as a symbol of the new South Africa.
The gameplay was intense. South Africa's defense was relentless. The All Blacks, despite being sick, pushed back with incredible resolve.
Jonah Lomu, who had bulldozed every team before, was shut down by the Springboks' defense. That alone shocked commentators.
After 80 minutes, the score was tied. They entered extra time, rare and stressful. The Springbok kicked the final penalty, 15-12.
South Africa won, and the country exploded. And what happened after the match were millions celebrating in the streets. Black and white South Africans hugging each other, waving flags, crying. For one day, unity felt real.
PNR later said, "We didn't have 60,000 fans. We have 43 million South Africans."
But historians debate how long this unity lasted. Some say it was symbolic and temporary. Others argue it planted the seeds of a shared national identity.
But even if temporary, the moment mattered. It set a tone for reconciliation and showed how sports can create emotional bridges that politics just can't.
And food poisoning legacy. And the controversy continues. To this day, players still argue about whether foul play occurred. It remains part of the myth, mystery, and drama of 1995.
This story ties into bigger themes in world sports history. Sports can be used to build nations, to create unity, to express culture, to heal trauma, or to divide people.
The 1995 Rugby World Cup is one of the clearest examples of sports being used as a political tool and a symbol of transformation.
So what do we take away from all of this?
That a game can become a mirror for national identity.
That unity, no matter how temporary, matters.
And that sports can carry the weight of a nation's dreams.
Thanks
Thanks
all
for
for
listening
listening
to
to 1995, the Cup that United a Nation.